everyone.
Hi everyone.
Welcome back to Infinity Wealth.
Awesome. Good to have you.
How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. How are you?
My young Padawan, how are you doing?
Very well. You said I'm in Zen zone. Look, Zen. I'm zenning out.
Oh, yeah. I'm in my Zen zone as well. Look.
I know. Your one looks a bit more hectic than mine, though.
As long as you're calm, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
As long as you're calm, it's fine. Yeah.
Cool. So we got a very good episode once again, as they all are. In today, we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. Like a few things that I've been having conversations with my mates about, but also talking about the markets and what is happening in the markets, because that is always intriguing stuff for us to speak about. But before we get into it, again, first of all, reminder to comment in the comment section in the box, and to also turn on the notification, because you'll get notified every time we upload a video. Otherwise, it's not going to come in your feed. Also, we've had a few more comments in the previous video, which again is great. I want a few more questions to come in before we do a Q&A video. So keep dropping your comments like you are already, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through the comments in our videos, or info@infinitywealth.me, the email. Super. Now that is done. Now, Martin, we're going to start the show today off a bit differently.
Okay.
Than usual, with some advice from yourself. We all love. Martin's experience is honestly we all of you, that me myself first of all, and then obviously all the viewers get so much value from just listening to you speak and you sharing your experiences. And I think one thing that I wanted to ask you, so we have a little Martin's tip section at the beginning of this video.
Right.
I was having a very interesting conversation with one of my friends who is basically talking about a lot of his mates and a lot of his sort of generation, or what they're sort of starting to pick up in the working world, basically. Now, to give some context to this story, my parents' generation and your generation were essentially working for survival, right? Most of it is to make sure that the family has a house, to make sure there's food on the table, whether that was through the means of business or whether that wasn't through the means of careers and jobs, etc., etc. Now, the difference between the next generation, so your kids and my generation, so me, my brother, all my friends, is that we have options. So, with your privileges that we've got from our parents, we've got so many. We don't have to worry about a roof over our head, etc., like food on the table. So we have options to whether it's to pursue our passions or whether it's to choose what to study, as opposed to go straight into a working career or a job. And a lot of these younger generations, at least my friends, are starting to realize this sort of rat race, the sort of, that this thing is just literally working towards something that's not giving them any fulfillment very, very quickly. And it's not something the previous generation would have done, because they would have just kept going in their career because they need to put bills on the table. Whereas, so what advice would you give to someone, especially on the basis of if they, so there's two parts to this question. Number one, what advice would you give to someone who is currently in a career, who's basically already within 2-3 years getting tired of their sort of position and maybe looking to go somewhere entrepreneurial or investing? And the second part of that question is, where do people start? Would you say go to investing first, or go straight to would you go to business first, create some money, go into investing? So what would your advice be?
That's good. Listen, that's a good question, right? That is a good question. So let's tackle one thing at a time. Right? You said my generation.
Yeah.
Okay. As viewers may well know, I came as a refugee, right? I came as a refugee from Uganda when Idi Amin came into power into the UK in 1972. And I remember I was a right tearaway, right? As a child, I gave my dad a lot of headaches, right? I was a right tearaway, right? And I remember my dad actually putting me to one side and saying to me, bearing in mind that Idi Amin took everything from us, so we only came to the UK with the clothes on our back and whatever we could carry, literally. And we were only allowed a small amount of money to take out of Uganda. They kept the rest, the government kept the rest. Now, My father said a couple of wise words, which I think should resonate with everyone, right? That was, bearing in mind what the experience he'd already had. He said, I've given you an opportunity, right? Don't squander it. My father never gave me this opportunity. And like you said, we're giving our generation the same sort of opportunity, right? Which was, when they can take all your money away from you. They can take your houses, your possession, everything away from you. But one thing that they can never, ever take away from you is your mind, right? Is your mind. And my father always said to me, they can never take your mind away from you. So I want you to study, because no matter where you go in the world, if they kick you out of this country or that country, no matter where you go in the world, you can always get a job, right? That was his generation, right? Now, my generation, what I'm telling my kids is become an entrepreneur, right? The reason why you become an entrepreneur is the same reason why my father was saying about reliance, is that you're not reliant on a person, right? The only person you're beholden to is yourself, right? If you become an entrepreneur, you can actually generate money. And it's hard for people to fathom until they've started actually doing it, right? It is a graft. Don't get me wrong. It is a graft. But once you've done that graft, once you've learned actually the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who works is that an entrepreneur is happy never being comfortable, right? That's what it is. An entrepreneur is always understands that he's never going to be fully comfortable. He's never going to fully have that security, right? But then again, the person who's employed hasn't got the security. They just got the perception they've got the security, right? But it's being comfortable in being uncomfortable, if you like, right? And just saying, well, yeah, I don't know when my next bit of money is going to come from, but I'm going to work hard and it's going to happen like that, right? So that's the first thing. So the other thing that I found, because you said two people, right?
Yeah.
You said you had two friends that were two different ages.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So one is my age, and then one was around 15, 20 years older. And obviously his perspective is more, the business is more risky, and it's like investing makes more sense. But well,
that's the other thing that you find, right? Basically, an entrepreneur is unemployable. I've always been unemployable. I've always been unemployable. I've always been, my own man. I want to do it my way, or don't follow the rules too much, but always wanted to do it my own way. So an entrepreneur really is unemployable, right? But what you tend to find is if you start at a younger age, Kiki, you embrace it more than if you start. And that's not to say you can't ever start even at an older age, but you're in this little groove. So you have to do more to get out of that groove. You'll have more responsibility. So if you're older, you may have kids, you may have a family. So it makes it increasingly difficult, right? But to be an entrepreneur at a young age where you've got hardly any responsibilities, right, is a lot easier than being an entrepreneur when you're a lot older. When you're a lot older, obviously, if you've already been an entrepreneur, it's great because you've got that experience behind you, right? But starting out at a younger age, would I go into investing or would I go into an entrepreneur? If you look at the most successful people in the world, right, they have started out as entrepreneurs in business. They've generated their own income, their own wealth, and then they've used this wealth to create more wealth, right, to invest it. So it's better to actually, and especially now in this sort of climate, having the ability to start your own business. So I'll give you another example, right? So you know that I had a solar company, right? So recently I set up a company for my solar guys when I left, because obviously at the time I said, look, that's it, guys. I just want to call it a day. Well, what are we going to do? Don't worry. I'm going to get you an MCS certificate. I'm going to get you a company. you form the company and I'll be your QC and I'll help you all out. So because they were at they were tradesmen at the time. So I said, I'll help you out as long as the understanding is that if I get some work in, that you still do the work for me, basically, right? My company. So now, if you look at today, you'll see more EVs out on the road, right? You'll see more electric cars. So you will see more solar panels coming back in. Yeah. So I immediately phoned my guys up and said, listen, I wouldn't mind actually getting back into solar as well. Right. But it's having that ability to chop and change. I like that. I like mixing it up. Right. I don't like doing the same old, right. So, but it's having that ability to say, well, actually, I because of that experience, I can actually carry on doing another company. Right. So when you're starting out, first thing that you should do is, and I've said this to you before, it's all about margin, right? It's all about margin because, I'm not going into solar or thinking going into solar because the margins are not great anymore. The margins are there like they were before, right? So I'm thinking, well, actually, I could, if people want solar, I could install solar on their roofs, not a problem. Right, I've got my own team. That's fine. I haven't got the headache of it, but all I can do is just do the site surveys, everything else, and carry on with that if I wanted to. Right. So the first thing that you have to decide is margin. You have to be. The more passionate you're about what you're doing, the more successful you're likely to be in that business. The more likely you're not going to give up, basically. Right. So being an entrepreneur, it's all about creating money on that one side. Being an investor, you need money in order to go and invest, right? So you need a certain pot in order to invest. If you haven't got that certain pot when you're young, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. So, people talk about JV partnerships, stuff like that. That's property. That's great. But as an out and out, if you're your age, you haven't got enough money, okay, so let's take your example. You set up a company, didn't you? Right? Yeah. So we spoke about it before, didn't we? And I've been helping you and trying to guide you and stuff like that. But now your life is more, shall I say, monetary wise, you've got more money now than if you had invested it. Yes or no?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
Right. Perfect example. Right. So what really, I'm just going to change a conversation a little bit.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
I had a guy, I've got portfolio. So I had a young man who basically I advertise. We manage quite a lot of our properties, not all of them, but we manage a lot of them. So I've had a lot of people phone me about my properties in Northampton, right? So I just got fed up. They're all rent-to-renters, right? They're all rent-to-renters. I thought, oh, bloody hell, there's been a rent-to-rent course and they're all doing it. And, so I this guy had hit a couple of our sites basically saying, well, would you do a corporate let? Would you not do a corporate let? And he's obviously spent money doing a course with someone who's got the surname of a northern city.
Right.
Yeah, who it is, right? Yeah. Northern City. Yeah. Anyway, so so I what I said to him is, listen, at the end of the day, he was doing rent to rent, right? So I said to him, rent to rent is a business. It's not investing. It will lead to investment later on. It will lead to an investment later on, but it's a business at the end of the day. If I offered you a choice of doing a rent to rent or trying to set up an estate agency, because it's one and the same. A rent-to-rent person is almost like an estate agent, a letting agent, right? It's almost like a letting agency, but you're taking the risk of if the house is not fully rented, you still have to pay the landlord. Whereas if you're an agent, a letting agent, then okay, if it's not rented, it's not rented, but you're still taking a commission, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But granted, you need certain qualifications. That's not a problem. Yeah. But you can get those qualifications. It's not hard. So I would always say to someone, also taking your example, look at becoming an entrepreneur, creating wealth in that way, and then look to invest that wealth. Yep. But we find different people at different stages of their life, right? Don't get suckered into the easy route. The easy route is passive income. All these guys going, yeah, passive income. You can sit on the beach somewhere and do this and do that. You know what it is, yeah? Selling you the dream. Yeah. And they're selling you the dream, but they're not telling you what the reality is, right?
I want to add to that. I've never ever come across a serious businessman or entrepreneur that has said to me, my end goal is to just sit on the beach and smoke a cigar. It's literally the people that don't understand business. Don't like.
Yeah.
A businessman or an entrepreneur is always
on the go,
looking for the next thing. Yeah, on the go. Exactly.
On the go. They're looking for the next thing.
The beach
going,
for a week.
That's fine.
Maximum.
Yeah.
A few days maximum. That's it. Not living on. But
yeah. So I would say to young people, right, now is a good time to start a business. It is. If you've had a passion for starting your own business, then, by starting your own business, you become your own boss. Yeah. And it is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Yeah. But you become your own boss. You are beholden to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't answer to anyone else. How hard you work is how much you get paid.
Yeah.
Now, on the same vein, when we came from Uganda, a lot of Indians, they used to take the piss out of Indians, saying, "Oh, it's all Mr. Patel in the news agents," right? Yeah. One thing that people didn't realize is because most of the Asians, and even true now of foreigners coming into the UK, whether it's Romanians or Lithuanians, whoever it is, right? They tend to open up their own shops because they may not be familiar with the language, as my parents weren't. So, but opening up a shop, they're their own person. They're dictating their own life, how long they stay open, how much money they make. They're not beholden on to people, which is why a lot of foreigners actually go into shops. They create their own shop, or they make their own shop because they're their own boss at the end of the day. Yeah. And it's an easy step rather than trying to, do something that they don't know. They eventually branch out from that. Don't get me wrong. There's loads of people that branch out. Start off that way, understand, get the footing, and then start out that way. So I'm not saying to people, "Oh, go and start, go and buy a shop or anything else like that." I'm saying do what you're passionate about. But people want to become their own bosses. That's it. So it's a good way of becoming your own boss. You're your own boss, Kiki.
Yeah.
Right. It was hard at the beginning. You don't make much money, but if you've got the ability to survive on a little bit, then you'll make money at the end. Yeah, you will make money as long as you keep at it. You do the right things. You will make money. So there's other people that want to do trading. Right. There are successful traders out there. The young people who've started out who trade. Basically, all they do is trade. Right. So but again, what I would say to someone who wants to do something like that is, that's great, but remember, trading is, again, dependent on your personality, because you're sat in a room by yourself. Yeah. There are institutions where you can hot desk it, somewhere like that, but you're in your own room. Right. Yeah. So you want social interaction. You're young. Why do you want to be in your own room all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
So you may be able to do a little bit, but then do other things as well. But try and always look at different things as well. Exactly. Always look at different things. And the opportunities that are thrown up now are, okay, so we've come into a recession. So we know that, restaurants are not doing that great. Right? Restaurant shops are not doing that well. So if you're going to buy a business, the goodwill value is going to be a lot less now, because the value is based on your overall turnover. And because of the recession, that turnover has dropped. So the valuation of that business has dropped. But it's not to say that it's a bad business. But people may have just, there may be people who've been at it for a long time and just said, well, do you know what? I'm just going to give this up, especially after COVID and everything else. But if you like that sort of business, you can go into that business. There's lots of businesses that you can buy. Yeah, there's lots of businesses that you can buy.
Yeah.
And in some instances, you don't necessarily, I won't say you necessarily need all the money to buy it, but you can easily do a deal with someone.
Yeah, partner.
Yeah. So you can partner up with someone who's older, but for God's sake, make an agreement, right? Do not rely on someone else's word, right? Yeah. But make an agreement, maybe saying, okay, listen, you want to sell your business, but I haven't got all of the money. But what I'll do is I'll give you some of the profits as I'm making them. Yeah. So that way you still got the business, and then I'll buy that business off you over a period of time.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's it's a good idea. I think to be honest, to wrap this part of it up, on the business versus investing, one thing that I've especially working with Marttand, I remember you saying to me right at the very beginning, you said, yeah, property is great, investing is great, good, but you're young, you got all this time in the world. You can do investing later, right?
Yeah.
Get yourself into a business, get yourself into an app, into a startup, get yourself an app. So that was the first step I took with space. And that has stuck with me ever since. Now, obviously now I'm not in space, but I'm building 9 Design. So it's that same approach for me is I'm getting 9 Designs to a position where it's a big business. It's a big business, and I'm able to then, so right now, everything that's the business is earning is going into reinvesting into the business, right? Is right now, because this is the early stages where this is how the company is going to grow. So, but at the later stages, that's when the actual cash is made. And you can now, especially in the digital world, you can invest with a click of a finger. I just need the cash in my bank account, right? So that's not to say I am investing right now, but it's minuscule in terms of what I would like to be doing in the future, basically. It's something that obviously keeps growing, that's no doubt, but it's nothing significant in terms of where I'm putting all the money. So that's one thing I want to wrap up on. It's like what you said to me.
But there's good times to actually invest, and make a lot of money. And there's other times where it's better to do other things, basically. Exactly. Like it was a great time to invest in crypto about 3-4 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's always an opportunity out there.
100%.
But it's keeping your mind open to opportunities.
That's key.
And not being scared to take them.
Yeah.
100%. Not being scared to take them. So
cool.
that would be it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we're going to get into more juicy things now. And Marttand, the next thing I want to start talking about is so this is us going into our sort of updates now. So if we start. Silver's been interesting. Now, Silver's looking like the squeeze is coming up and it's squeezing. And, what's your sort of thoughts on silver? Because we talk a lot about obviously stocks and stuff, but commodities are so important, especially what's happening in silver at the moment. So what's your thoughts of what's going on?
I'm a long-term bull for silver and gold, but more silver than gold. I hold silver anyway. But there's a reason why. So there's been talk in the market at the moment, and you can buy silver. I'm just going to check the silver price. Just bear with me.
Yeah, it was 3% earlier.
Silver price. Hold on, let's have a look. Because it was up when we were talking. It was up something like 4%. So silver is up 3.59% at the moment. So with silver, they are talking about a silver squeeze occurring because there is an option expiry coming this week. So they're talking about a lot of people have held on to their option contracts and are not selling them, right? And that there will be a massive silver squeeze. And so people, even if it's a rumor, people jump onto it, right?
Yeah, that's what happens.
You know what? Silver can easily go to 40 plus within a short time frame. So when silver moves really, really quick.
Yeah, it does.
Really quick. Now, the other reason why I'm bullish on silver, copper, if you've been looking at copper, it's been going up. Silver is also not only for monetary terms, but silver also has a lot of industrial applications.
Does.
And the industrial applications are in solar panels and solar equipment, electronic equipment. EV cars need solar. EV cars need a lot of copper. right? So yeah, they need a lot of raw materials basically, right? Silver's been suppressed for quite a long time, and I think silver is going to have a real good run basically at the moment. So I not only I hold the physical stuff, I trade the paper stuff, but I hold the physical stuff, and there is a big discrepancy between the price of silver that you buy in bullion form and the price of on the screen. There's a huge discrepancy, sure. And there is talk in the market at the moment that people are going to say, well, why is silver no longer priced on? It should be priced on the asset itself, not the paper derivative. So I think silver is a great. And the other on the stock market side, right? You're going to find that commodities, we are going through a commodities bull market. They're calling it a super cycle, right?
Driving force,
they're calling it a super cycle. Now, I don't like calling it super cycles or anything else like that, but the reason why they're calling it super cycle is that commodities have been quite depressed for a long time, right? But they're now coming onto their own, like with silver, gold, copper, wheat, everything. It's just taken off. Copper is almost reaching its all-time highs at the moment, right? Almost, not too far away. So they're talking about a super cycle, especially with the infrastructure bill that's coming with Biden in the USA. So they're talking about infrastructure. Now, if you wanted to actually be part of this, you don't necessarily. You can either trade it off as a CFD, or you can trade it off as ETFs. So there's lots of ETFs out there that specifically look at certain commodities basically. And there's shares as well. So if you're looking at silver, you can look at mining shares, silver mining shares, or silver mining companies. But you can also look at ETFs as well. So I think it's gonna take off big time. I'm not so sure about the stocks though.
That's an interesting one because it looks to a point where the market's topping, don't you think? I do. I feel that the market is making a. I'm not going to call it an ultimate top here or anything else like that. But to me, the market action last week. So just to put the viewers straight, last week you had the big tech companies report. So you had Amazon, you had Facebook, you had Google, you had Tesla, which wasn't that great, but yeah. So you had Amazon, Google, Netflix. Tesla is mainly all in Bitcoin. We made all this money in Bitcoin.
Exactly. He's a promoter. He's a promoter. I think that's the best way to call it. And then there's so there's Amazon as well. So all these companies, Apple, right? So what you found was they had a absolute stellar blowout quarter, absolutely massive, right? I look at how the stock reacts afterwards. Right. So they had great results. So a lot of the stocks gapped up and then they started giving back. So they were faded basically in the market, right? Which is not a great sign, which means that there is fatigue out there. There's no real incentive to buy it anymore because all the good news is priced in, right? That's one thing. So looking at that market action and how the price has developed after those great stellar performances is amazing. Now, the other thing that I was saying to you about, let's say Apple had a huge, absolutely mammoth amount of sales, fantastic, blowout numbers, right? But at the end of the day, all those sales, because people have been, especially in America, they've got their stimulus checks and everything else, and people have been in and they've been saving money because they haven't been going out, so they've been buying iPhones. Okay, most of them bought them now. So that demand has been brought forward, right? That demand, that those people that wanted the iPhones, that demand has been brought forward already. So now you'll tend to find that the demand will then slow because the economy is opening up. People are not interested in necessarily doing that. They weren't able to spend their money. They want to go out now, right? So and I think that's why the stock started giving back quite a lot. Yeah. And if you remember a couple of weeks back, what did I say to you? I said, short the NASDAQ at 14,000. Yeah. 14,000, 14,200. Well, yeah, you would have made some money. It's fluctuating like that. Yeah. But there is actually a support level at 13,500 thereabouts. One at 13,750. Then one if 13,500 breaks, we're looking at 13,090 thereabouts. Yeah. It needs to give back. This market needs to give back. It's crazy what's happened in the market. So I wouldn't be, and the other thing in the market that maybe a lot of our viewers may not realize is that one way to see whether a market is topping or where it's going is if you're the CEO of a company, right, and you start to sell your shares, you already know what the profitability of the company is like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So when insiders start selling, I'm not talking about small amounts, I'm talking about larger amounts, right?
Huge.
When they start selling larger amounts of their stock, that's actually telling you something.
Yeah.
And over the past month, there have been record sales by CEOs of their own company stock. And that's saying something, right? So when I look at that and I look at what the market action is, I think, do you know what? It's time to actually just sit back. If you're a trader, you may want to short the market. I'm not saying short the market, but you may want to short the market. That's where the market is looking. The market is looking. There's more downside risk than there is upside risk at the moment. Yeah. Where is the catalyst going to come from now?
Yeah.
So we've had the stimulation checks. We've had the results out. Where's the stimulation coming from?
Yeah.
Right. Markets need to, in order to move, they need some sort of stimulus. So, if you look at bond yields and you look at interest rates are rising, bond yields are dropping, bonds are dropping, right? So when interest rates rise, it's really bad for tech companies, although they're stabilized a little bit. And there's a number of things that you should look at to see where the market's going to go, right? There are a number of indicators that you can look at, basically. So I would say to you, if you bear all that in mind, investing is not rocket science. Investing is more doing the opposite to what 90% of people are doing. And that is, if they're really, really bullish, it's time to actually just take a look at and go, well, should they really be this bullish? Right? They shouldn't be. So that's my idea of the market. I could be wrong. I could be right. So, but I always put my money where my mouth is, Kiki. You already know that.
100%.
So I've been holding on to positions. It's like, hey, I tell you who, Gary V. We both like Gary V, don't we?
Yeah.
So I saw a video with Gary V, and I think Gary V's great as well. Not so much of a promoter as some of the other guys out there who just don't like.
No BS, straight to the point.
Yeah, no BS, yeah. And Gary V said, I've been eating, his classic line was, I've been eating a lot of shit, right? I've been eating a lot of shit because I'm expecting it's gone completely the opposite way of what I thought it would go. But I've been eating a lot of shit, basically, because he's been anticipating a real stellar down move. Not just in the stock market, because he wants to buy businesses. So he's been sitting on cash, right? Gary V has been sitting on cash, wants to buy lots of businesses, on the cheap. So bearing all that in mind, I think what you'll find is when the stock market does, it tends to go down and then come back up, go down, come back up. And it tends to form a little curve. When it's curving like that, it's actually changing guard.
Exactly.
Unless there's new stimulation in the market, I don't know where it's coming from. I think you would probably be better off on the side of caution. I would be short the market rather than long the market. Yeah.
Which brings us on to the third point in this conversation is cryptos and some sort of in a sense, it looks like there's some sort of diversification going on where obviously and we've seen this before, where Bitcoin's had this massive rally. Now it's sort of like twiddling its thumbs and it's like, well, okay, what's going to happen? And now all of a sudden, you got your altcoins. A lot of the altcoins are starting to really pick up. So, where is that heading? And what do you think is happening there? Because it's interesting, this sort of dilemma between the stock market and the crypto market.
Well, no, the other thing is, look, it's another risk, a risk asset, right? So if cryptos crash, you'll see there's a dynamic in the stock market as well, right? It's like when you're trading, you're looking at international markets as well. You're not just looking at your own, because all stocks markets react in the same sort of manner, basically, right? Although there is internal stuff within each country, we're now more international, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when one market crashes, it may have a slight knock-on effect onto the other market. So just going back to crypto, right? So what you found is that we spoke about it before, and I still don't know. I don't know. Lots of people have asked me, will they? What is the risk in Bitcoin? Right? What is the risk in Bitcoin? The major risk in Bitcoin is that the Biden administration and other administrations around the world say, actually, Bitcoin is used for dodgy transactions, and we are not going to allow it, right? We're not going to allow it, so we're going to ban Bitcoin. When they do that, obviously, it switches the price of Bitcoin down, right? I think a lot of people who've made a lot of money have been selling Bitcoin, but they've moved from Bitcoin. So that doesn't mean to say Ethereum, Litecoin are not. If you look, Litecoin and Ethereum are moving far more than Bitcoin now. Far more than Bitcoin at the moment. And again, the Bitcoin pattern does not inspire me at this moment in time. I was actually looking, in the last, it corrected last week, right? I was actually looking to buy some at around about 40,000.
Yeah.
Never hit it. I think it hit about 47. I had buy orders in at 40, 45, and 40. But the majority of them were at 40 rather than 45. Yeah. But I didn't want to miss it just in case. It went to 47, then just went straight up. That's what it is. Doesn't matter. I should have put buy orders in for Ethereum and Litecoin because they went up far more. So I think, and the other reason as well is this green revolution. Cryptos are really bad for the environment. I hope that people know that, right? Because of the amount of energy that is consumed, right? Which beggars belief on why Tesla are actually investing in Bitcoin when they're an electric car company and they're supposed to be green, yet they're investing in a technology that is far more polluting than anything out there. Right. Exactly. So that's me off the soapbox. So I don't know. But going back to silver, I think long term, my advice to most people, long term, I don't care whether it's now or in a couple of years' time, start tucking away some silver. Silver is undervalued. Silver is undervalued. You could buy ETFs in silver if you wanted. Or you could buy CFDs in silver if you wanted, but tuck some silver away. Silver, if silver has a squeeze, it moves really quick. So if you see silver starting to move, you should jump on it. So right now, when silver breaks 27 and stays above 27, what is it now? Hold on. It's now at the moment, where is it? So I've got lots on the charts, basically. Okay, so silver is at 26.82. So it hasn't broken 27 at the moment. 27, there is a resistance point at 27, but it has to actually break clean through. yeah, and then drive it further, not break clean, come back. So it may break clean, come back to retest, and then go back up again, which is on the retest, which is when you should be buying it, basically, right? So I think I would definitely go into silver. I'm already in silver. I mean, I started buying silver 3 years ago. I started buying gold 3 years ago. But it's stuff that I will always keep.
Exactly.
So it's an investment. It's an insurance policy, if you like. That I'll always keep. But silver is big. Right? Silver could be massive. You know, if it takes off, it will go to 40, 50 really quick.
Exactly.
Really quick. If there's a short squeeze, it'll go really quick. Right?
Agreed.
So that's what I would do. But be careful in the market right now. The other thing is May is probably one of the worst months. Look, there's cycles in the stock market. There's cycles in life. So why shouldn't there be a cycle in the stock market, right? The stock market doesn't always go up. It gets a bit tired and then it peters off. Sometimes it goes down, then comes back up. You know, it has a shakeout. Right now, May is the worst month for the stock market. You know, there's the added advantage or saying that, sell in May, basically, and go away. Now, especially when the stock market has had such a tremendous run. What's that?
I love that.
Sell in May and go away. But when the stock market has had such a good run, a stellar run, you're more likely to see people taking profits. And so what you'll find is that in May, sometime it may come down. I'm hoping. Listen, I've got bets on. I'm hoping, right? And there's lots of big bets out there, Kiki. You know, I know someone's taken an option trade of 4.5 million on an option trade for the S&P to drop 17%. 17%. But they could also be using that as a hedge, as a protective hedge, basically. May being a slow month, then if people have got profits, you should be always in the stock market. Nothing ever goes up all vertically, right? It comes back down. So if you're happy to actually sit by and maybe watch a 10% correction, a 15% correction, and you're happy to do that, then by all means stay in that. But what I would always recommend to people is take profits as it's going up. Take profits, because then if it does fall, you go, oh, actually, I've still got a position in there, but I'll just buy some more now.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll just ride it back up again.
Yeah.
Right. So you should always be, you should trade your positions. You shouldn't necessarily just sit on them. If you've had stellar runs, you should be, that's exactly what happened with Apple, right? Apple had blowout earnings. You look at the volume. On those result days were tremendous, great volume, which means that there were a lot of sellers going, I'm selling now. Have it. I'll buy it back later. Have it. And that's what they were doing, you know. And then they're hoping to actually buy. They wouldn't necessarily be selling all their positions. They'll be selling some of their positions then. Yeah. So that's what I think. That's what I definitely think. That the market is definitely topping here, whether it's a major top or whether it's a partial top. I don't think it's a major top yet. I think we'll see a major top later on, but I don't think it will go beyond where it is now. I think it will come back down and then come back up to these sort of levels. Most stock markets, we had an abnormal year last year. Right, we had an abnormal year because the returns were absolutely phenomenal last year. Right? But most years, on average, you make you make 10%, 9%, 6% returns. We haven't even had that. We've had in the teens.
Yeah, it's true.
In the teens, and I've seen stock markets go in the teens, then all of a sudden go to net minus zero, and then bounce back up again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Agreed.
So that's what I would do.
Interesting. So
what about you though? What are your views then?
No, I'm in alignment with everything that you're saying. It's interesting because I was reading an article about a false confidence, basically. People are coming out of the obviously people coming out of the pandemic, and you've got apparently you've got investors trickling some sort of money, but especially with like these reports that came out, trickling some sort of money that's coming in and coming in with this sort of, because I think the one thing that a lot of people have to understand and distinguish is there's a massive difference between the economy and the stock market. And I think a lot of people get this confused because people think economic performance or a stock market is a reflection of economic performance and vice versa. And what normally happens is, especially coming out of a pandemic like this, there's some confusion in terms of thinking that, everybody's going to be like spending money and positive and all this kind of stuff, and like investors are going to be investing back in. I think that has got to play, especially what's been happening in crypto at the moment. It's like, as we're coming, it's not ironic that as we're coming out of the pandemic, crypto is all of a sudden booming. It's because there's some sort of shift happening in terms of where people are mentally and putting their money in companies and how they feel as if now, companies, like we know the biggest boys that are putting money in Bitcoin and all these kind of stuff. We know the people that are pumping money in, the banks and the JP Morgans and the Elon Musks and whatever. And even all the private investors that are literally names that ever said are left unsaid. These guys are also seeing vaccine rollouts, things coming to some sort of normality, and it was interesting to read that perspective. But I do still believe that even if there is a short-lived, even if there is a false confidence, it's going to be short-lived. It's not going to be something that goes through.
So what you have to
tops
exactly. So what you have to think, the stock market is a forward-looking indicator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's always been a forward-looking indicator.
Exactly.
Right? So what you have to think about is from 6 months from now, our interest rates, and now we're going to go into property a little bit. Okay. So 6 months from now, our interest rates going to be higher or lower than where they are now. Like I read a report in the Telegraph that Barclays were preparing for negative rates and charging their customers money. Well, I hope we don't go down that route, and I can't understand why they're thinking even going down that route when the economy is booming. So, are you bullshitting me? Is my phrase. Are you bullshitting me? If the economy is booming, why on earth are you thinking about negative rates?
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't compute. When the economy is booming, you're putting up rates. You're not taking down rates. There's less than zero. Right? And there is something going on, which, and for me personally, the economy will boom, but we're already seeing it. But then after that, where's the next stimulation going to come from? Exactly. And all the money that's come in has been from government. Helping out. Exactly. It's the government helping out. It's not people generating more money out there. It's the government helping out, and so they've been able to buy and invest basically. So these dynamic factors will change, right? And there's some great guys out there. I've talked about them. There's a guy called Graham Grantham as well.
Right.
He's been calling the market bubble and things like that. And so there's loads, but everyone has a view. People have to realize that in the stock market, you must have your own view. Don't hold other people's view.
Yeah, 100%.
Hold your own view and go, this is what I believe. That's fine. But I'm happy to change it if I'm wrong. Yeah. Right. You've got to be flexible in that way. Yep. But don't listen to everyone, because you just confuse the hell out of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But look at the market. Look at the market.
Yeah.
Look at the market. Look at the market action. So, you would think that if a company's done stellar numbers, would you think the stock price should go up or down?
Exactly.
What would you think? Yeah. Should go up.
Exactly.
What does it mean if it goes down?
Yeah. Something going on, mate.
It means that people are going, actually,
some investigation.
This is as good as it's going to get. Shall I bail out? And they're taking half the profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Same with and the other thing is, I know that we have a lot of investors, younger investors, which is great, right? I think they're doing a fabulous job, right? But you've got to realize that if you look, and there's a big bet taken out on ARK Invest, right? And going back to the .com bubble again, right? And eras like that. Not only the valuation basis, but how the market behaves is behaving in. Remember, we talked about, or I talked about SPATs. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I said, don't invest in SPATs. Whatever you do, do not invest in SPATs. Can you remember?
Yeah.
They're blowing up now. Yeah, and especially Chamath, whatever, Panathea. That guy should be put in prison, basically, right? Because he is a promoter, and all he does is he just reaps off the benefit of other people, right? He sold out in his SPAC. He sold out right at the top of the market, right? He promoted that SPAC, sold everything every single holding he sold out, took the money, went, thank you very much, and left all the private investors holding the bag. Richard Branson sell out. So he bought the Richard Branson, what is it? What is it? It's the Star one. I've forgotten what it's called now. But yeah, the launch SPAC, the one that goes out into space.
SpaceX.
No. That's Tesla.
No, that's Tesla. Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, that's it. Virgin. Thank you. Virgin Galactic. So he sold all those. And then Richard Branson sold all those. So my advice is, you're holding Virgin Galactic. If these guys have sold out every single penny that they own, do you think it's going to go up or down?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're all bullshitters. They're all after our hard-earned money. Yeah. I would just call them for what they are. They're promoters. They like creating little stories and then beefing up the price and then selling it.
Yeah.
And they should be put in prison.
Yeah.
Like, especially Chamath Palihapitiya, because he is basically a promoter, and he's it's stock manipulation at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, he did the same with GameStop. Said, "Oh yeah, it's great, sold out." That was to be fair, that was a pretty good trade, but he traded it in such a way that he went on Riddick and played with the crowd and got the prices up, and then sold it all out. I went, yeah, that's fine. So he doesn't believe in the stock, you know. So for the young, for the newer ones, if your SPAC or your stock that, Kathy would ARK Invest, right? I think next year that would be the biggest story around. ARK Invest blowing up, basically. Because this woman has just, she was investing in stupid stocks, right? She was just like a novice investor, really. And a lot of people shorting her stock. What's that?
Good old Kathy.
Yeah, good old Kathy. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I've got nothing against people. Don't get me wrong. Right? I've got nothing against people, but I've got something against people who con people out of their hard-earned money, and people don't see it. That's what I'm against. Yeah. Right? Really, I'm against these guys that are trying to rip us off all the time. And they are trying to rip us off all the time. I'm just totally against it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean,
so let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on that basis.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds good.
On a better note, well, so hopefully we'll have some. Oh yeah, just talk about property as well.
Yeah.
I said, with property, interest rates are going to be going up.
Yep.
Yeah, I know there's talk of negative interest rates, but then they're saying, if you read, UK is booming.
Yeah. Market.
If UK is booming, why on earth would you do negative interest rates?
Exactly. That doesn't stack up. Yeah.
Yeah. So interest rates, they're zero at the moment. They're zero. Interest rates are linked to bond yields. If people start losing confidence, and it's not the Bank of England that control bond yields, basically, it's the market out there. Yes, they buy bonds to actually suppress the yield prices, basically. But why on earth would they be doing that now? I think, if they start tapering off the bond buying program, then I think we'll see a big correction in the stock market. But they're not talking about it. Jay Powell and others are not talking about it. But Canada have already done it.
I saw that.
Already tapered. Yeah, they're already starting to taper.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, but these are where the opportunities are, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opportunity. If you don't like shorting, that's fine. Take money off the table. Take a little bit off the table and wait. Maybe invest in a little bit of silver.
Yeah, exactly.
Silver, platinum, corn. All these things are going to be going up because people have got money all of a sudden.
Yeah. Agreed.
They want to be dining to restaurants. You know, they want it. So I think that'll go up. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think we should do some charts next time.
We definitely will. We'll do a chart stock market update soon as well. To show what that looks like. But I think this has been super insightful again, Martin. I mean, always even for myself selfishly, but obviously selflessly for everybody else as well. It's always interesting. And I'm so fortunate and glad that we get to speak about these things, because as I said, weeks back, these are very interesting times, and I don't need to know that. Like, I don't need to have your experience to know that these are very intrigue, all sorts are happening at the moment. So it keeps us in a way excited, because it's it's always good to realize that what's happening in these markets. And I could not ask for anybody better but to talk about it with you. So
I mean, just leave to people. If you're looking to invest, look into soft commodities, right?
Yeah.
Wheat, corn, sugar, stuff like that. There are ETFs that do that. There's ETFs also that invest in copper and stuff like that, right? If you're not a trader, you can buy some ETFs that do that as well, or you can buy some miners, right? That do that as well, right? So just do your own investigation, guys.
Exactly, 100%.
Do your investigation.
Be conscious investors, not with your blindfold on.
Definitely.
Pressing the buy or sell button.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. So again,
hope you've enjoyed it.
Please do like, subscribe, comment below your questions. Keep them coming in. As I said, we want a few more before we do another Q&A, which are always popular. So get your questions in, whether it's through our Instagram DMs, whether it's through commenting below in this video, or emailing at info@infinitywealth.me. But apart from that, so we'll do another one next week, but we'll do one with charts as well, I think. 100%.
And I will do a property in that half bit. I'll do some property as well.
Good updates on that. Perfect. Awesome. Well then, guys.
Okay.
Until then, see you later.
Right. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There you go.
All right.